So, Ellen, we just spent about the past hour talking about your brother Jim, and Katy, you were able to kind of relay a little bit of things to kind of help her on this conversation, and you were just going to touch on the fact of kind of what your mom and telling the stories and the importance of that. So why don't you go right ahead with what you were going to say?
So now you can, yeah, okay. I know I mentioned many times that, our mother would tell me stories about Jim. But when I think about it, why would I have been that interested? I'm so much younger and everything, but they are so vivid in my mind, these stories. It's as though I had actually witnessed many of the things that she told me. And I've thought about it lately, and I realized that, of course, she, he, no, he was her favorite child. And I'm not saying that, you know, because I feel any kind of, envy because he had, this position in the family and everything. I just realize it's true, and it is because she was a bit in awe of him. And that's because he was such a phenomenally early talker. He was talking at 8 months old. And by the time he was a year old, I don't know what kind of a vocabulary is. She wrote it all in his baby book. It's all the words he said and everything. But he was, phenomenally verbal at a very young age. And she was so inexperienced as a young mother. This was an astounding person, an astounding creature in front of her, because she said she had no idea that this was what it was like to be a mother, let alone a mother of a child like him. And she, I think, was a bit in awe of him a great deal of her, life with him. And that's not saying that she wasn't highly critical of him too, but she did know so much about him and somehow conveyed that enthusiasm for him to me, so that I grew up knowing so much about him as a young child. And I I think I probably mentioned it to Linda at times. She said, Jim was her favorite child. You and I were just, afterthoughts compared to Jim. And Linda said, oh yeah, definitely.
That's beautiful. So, my question for you before we hop off, now there's approximately 20 different video documentary interviews with Jim talking about his life that you're going to be able to watch, and the family's also going to be able to pass down for generations. And there's about another 18 people at this point that have saved their individual memories about Jim. So what do you think of this being able to be kind of not just a keepsake, but almost a library of all the knowledge of Jim about his life and the people about Jim, and being able to pass that on? Ellen, what do you think about you being able to watch those things and reminisce yourself?
How do you feel about having this history being recorded and stuff like that? Like, what are your thoughts about this whole process? Oh, I think it's great. Yeah, I mean, for I think that it it's important, you know, to have this kind of a history, and to have children, you know, younger people in touch with those those of us that are old, you know, and that we were actually young at one time, and did a lot of the things that they do. And you know, I mean, it's really important.
Can I add one other thought? I think that specifically doing this with Jim, one of the things that has struck me in hearing Jim's stories over the years and sitting at those Saturday clubs and that sort of thing is just how many kind of firsts Jim was a part of in a way, right? Like, his working so closely with, first woman to graduate from law school, and these sorts of things. I mean, the experiences that he had, his awareness and ability to talk about these really pivotal moments in our history and stuff like that, and have these very personal experiences with, I think that it's wonderful to be capturing, these experiences in his life and stuff like that, and some of the memories that he has, because it makes that history human, right? It conveys it from a whole nother perspective than what you get from history books and stuff,
And Ellen, how did you enjoy the conversation that we had? Do you think I was a good story guide for you?
How did you feel about the interview and stuff like that?
I said I thought that you made me feel relaxed. You were able to bring out, you made me laugh, and and I think you did a very good job of helping me get in touch with the past, and with some affection, but also with some, a realistic outlook about a lot of things. You did a really wonderful job.
Well, thank you very much. And we might be able to save some stories with you about your life too.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, I am going to close this out, and I wish you luck on the park behind you, and let it help a lot of people in the area for years to come in Michigan.
Thank you very much.
There is one thing that I want to tell you why I think this is better. Katy gave me a book to write about memories and stuff, to give to Brooke.
Yeah. My
and I realized that I haven't done it. I haven't sat down and write, because writing has become more difficult for me and everything. But also, so I think this is somewhat easier for me to just talk about things, but also it's easier for the person getting these memories or hearing about these memories, because I think we are so oriented toward the visual, or the movie or whatever right now. And certainly I've grown up with that in my life, my entire life, oriented toward movies. And so I think this is a better medium to convey something, something of the past or a person's life, than actually writing it right now.
Well, I mean, the reality is, when you get older, your hands aren't as free flowing as they were before. And it's a lot easier to talk about your life than to figure out what you're going to write every sentence along the way. So I like to say, instead of, writing your book, you might as well talk your book, and we'll help you talk right through all those conversations, and we can still actually transcribe the
You also
into
get
text.
the emotion of the
Yeah.
person that you're talking to. You know, I cried, I laughed, you know, I mean, it's hard to put that in print, you know, to write about that.
And, you know, the name of the thing is Voices Live On, and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for this experience. I appreciate it a lot.
You got it. And I know that
I was a little bit nervous about going into it, but I really appreciate it.
well, I think you did a great job. And Katie, thanks for your interview that we did last week. And I think you also covered a lot of really cool things from the child angle, looking up at Uncle Jim.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we're going to close this.
Okay. Thank you.